Hello everybody out there in math land. This is the lesson for 4th grade on classifying quadrilaterals. The exciting part is that this is your last lesson of this book, so congratulations, you have made it till the end. All right, so today we'll be classifying quadrilaterals. Now this is something that you did in 3rd grade as well, but I'm going to give you a review. This little part right here is going to be super important to have with you when you're doing your homework because it's going to help you with all the definitions. So please do not throw this away. Maybe have it with you. There's some kids that have been doing like a little guide for themselves, cutting out these little informative pieces and gluing them together on a piece of paper. I remember Ada did that for sure. Savannah has been doing it as well. So I hope you can do it and add it to your collection. Quadrilaterals, by definition, are shapes that have 4 sides. The word quadri means 4, lateral means side. So this word literally means 4 sides. All the shapes that we're going to have today, all the polygons are going to have 4 sides. Now, there are 2 families or 2 different cousins in this family of quadrilaterals, okay? One is the trapezoid, which is a quadrilateral that it has only 1 pair of parallel sides. This one and this one, that's 1 pair. These are not parallel because they will eventually touch, so they're not parallel. And then the other cousin is the parallelogram. A parallelogram has 2 pairs of parallel sides. See, these are parallel, and so are these because they will never touch, and these will never touch. And then the opposite sides have the same length. For example, if this was 8, then this was also 8. If this was 10, then this was also 10. The opposite sides are going to be equal. Now, a parallelogram can have 3 more specific names. A parallelogram can be a rectangle, a rhombus, or a square. A rectangle is any parallelogram that has 4 right angles, which means a square is also a rectangle. A rhombus is a parallelogram that has 4 sides with the same length. Okay, so a rhombus is a parallelogram, but a rhombus is not a rectangle because it doesn't have right angles. Then there's a square. The square is a parallelogram that has 4 right angles and all the sides are equal, meaning that any square is also a rhombus, also a rectangle, and also a parallelogram. The square is lucky because a square can actually be all 3 of these also. Okay? It takes a little bit of getting used to talk about that, but okay. Over here, classifying the quadrilateral in as many ways as possible because some shapes have more than one name. This quadrilateral right here has 4 right angles because they give you this little box in the corner to indicate that it's 90 degrees. It has 2 pairs of parallel sides because this one's parallel and so is that one. So 2 pairs, like shoes. And then it has also 2 pairs of opposite sides with the same length. These are the same as each other, and these are the same as each other. So therefore, this is a rectangle, but every rectangle is also a parallelogram. It has 2 names that would qualify it. Now, let's go to this one. Classify the quadrilateral in as many ways as possible. Anytime you see a trapezoid only has 1 name. Trapezoid, that's it. It's like the ugly cousin, the black sheep of the family nobody likes. Now this guy, okay? These little lines are indicating that all these lines are actually the same in length. If, for example, 4, 4, 4, 4, or 6, 8, 6, 6, 8, 8, 8, 8. They're all the same length. Rhombus has all the same length. No square corners, so therefore this is not a square, this is a rhombus. But I told you that every rhombus is also a parallelogram. There we go, okay? Moving right along. 2nd page, classify the quadrilateral in as many ways as possible. Remember, they can have multiple names. This right here, right off the bat, is a rectangle because 2 pairs of parallel sides, opposite sides are equal, and 4 right angles, rectangle. But every rectangle is also a parallelogram. This guy, immediately what does it look like? You see his little weird shape? Trapezoid. Trapezoid is lonely, doesn't have any other names that get along with it. Over here, they're not looking at this mat, they're looking at that shape inside the mat. As you can see, it has 4 square corners. All the sides are equal in length. Opposite sides are equal as well. 2 pairs of parallel sides. So therefore, this little shape is a square. But a square is also a rhombus. A square is also a rectangle. And a square is also a parallelogram. So keep in mind, whenever you see a square, it's actually 4 things at the same time. Keep that in mind. This one, no right angles. I don't see any right angles, therefore this cannot be a square or a rectangle. These don't have all equal sides, therefore it's not a rhombus either. But it is a parallelogram. because opposite sides are equal in length and it has two pairs of parallel sides. So just a parallelogram, no other names account for it. Here we go. The formula of the perimeter of a square with side lengths of S is P, or perimeter, equals 4 times S. Can you use this formula to find the perimeter of any other type of quadrilateral? If so, name that quadrilateral. The only one, yes, that it would work with is a rhombus, because a rhombus would have all sides equal just like a square, but not a rectangle necessarily, because a rectangle, it is possible that two sides are longer than the other two, and the same goes for a parallelogram. So the only ones that have the same all 4 sides are rhombuses or squares, okay? How many lines of symmetry can a parallelogram have? So a parallelogram can either look like this, it can look like a rhombus, it can look like a square, or it can look like a rectangle. So a parallelogram, which is any of these, can have either 0 lines of symmetry, 2 or 4, depending on the situation, 0, 2, or 4. Now, these are very important because this is actually going to help us with the whole some have more than one name, some doesn't apply. So let's do this together. So either all, some, or no. Blank parallelograms are rectangles. Some parallelograms are rectangles. Squares are rectangles. Yes, all squares are also rectangles. Trapezoids are parallelogram. No, because trapezoids only have 1 pair of parallel sides and parallelograms have 2 pairs of parallel sides. Rectangles are squares. Some, but it's not going to be a square if 2 sides are longer, so only some of those work. And then trapezoids have 4 sides with the same length. No, that's not what makes a trapezoid, okay? So keep this in mind. Also keep it in mind for when you're doing the homework. Moving right along. 2 artists, 2 artists each want to paint an identical half of a painting like the one shown. Classify the shape of the painting in as many ways as possible. Then identify and show how many different ways the artist can divide the painting. That means lines of symmetry, okay? This painting has 4 sides, okay? It has 2 pairs of parallel sides. It has 0 right angles because there's no squares in there. And 4 sides of the same length, and I know because they each have 1 dash, okay? So this is, first of all, a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides. It is also a parallelogram. In the more specific name, it is a rhombus. Now, it says, determine whether the painting has lines of symmetry. If so, find how many different ways the artist can divide this painting. It looks like the rhombus-shaped painting has 2 lines of symmetry, left to right and up and down. So the artist can divide the painting in 2 different ways, okay? This is not going to work because if you fold them together, they're going to overlap in lines. So only this one and this one would work. That would not work. You and your friend each want to share an identical half of the tabletop. Classify the shape of the tabletop in as many ways as possible, then identify and show how many different ways you and your friend can divide the tabletop, if any. Look at this. These lines are eventually going to meet. This is your ugly cousin. This is a trapezoid. Okay, so it only can be classified as a trapezoid. And the only way that you could divide this in order to make it symmetry or symmetrical, bam. So it only has 1 way of dividing it, 1 line of symmetry, okay? This actually is a little crooked. It should be more up and down. There we go. Last question of the entire book. Whew. At least for the lessons. A horse needs at least 4,046 square meters of pasture. Classify the shape of the pasture in as many ways as possible. Is the pasture large enough for the horse? Well, this right here. 4 equal sides, 4 square angles. This is the fun one that has a bunch of names. This is a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides. Quadrilateral. This is a parallelogram. This is also a rectangle. This is also a rhombus. And the last thing is this is actually a square. All these numbers apply, all these names apply to that. Now, it says that the horse needs at least 4,046 of area. Area is length times width. And because it's a square, if this is 64, this is also 64. So we have to multiply 64 times 64. I don't have a lot of room, but I will try my best, okay? 4 times 4 is 16, carry 1. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. 0. 6 times 4 is 24, carry 2. 6 times 6 is 36, plus 2 is 38. When I add that together, I get 6, 9, 10, carry 1, 4. This is 4,096. I needed at least 4,046. So yes, it is enough to have the horse in there because that is bigger than the requirement. All right. Make sure you have this little thing with you as you are working on the homework, because you're going to need it in order to refer back to it. If you have any questions, please let me know by getting in contact with me. Have an adult check your answers before you submit them, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.